no secret that I have done quite a few of these videos on, healthy living habits and simple living habits. And in a lot of those videos, I found that the tips were very practical and things that you could really change day to day, which I do have a few of those sprinkled in today's video. But I wanted this video to share more mindset shifts and things that I've been trying to work on in terms of practical habits, yes, but deeper shifts in my mindset that can actually help me live a more simple and minimal life. I'm not a minimalist. If you guys watch the vlogs on my channel, you know that I buy things, I unbox things, I make purchases that aren't always necessary. But for me, minimalism and simplicity is more about, again, a mindset shift of trying to be content with having less and not always needing to seek more, but also not finding my identity as a minimalist or my identity in anything apart from my faith that I have personally. Kendra, a very sweet viewer, recently gifted me this book in my PO box. It's called Every Moment Holy, and it essentially has different liturgies depending on different moods that you're in or different things that you're going through. And I love this one. It's on the latest technology. I love this one. It says, "Content my soul in you, O Christ, who alone are sufficient to my longings. In such moments of technological temptation, when I might justify to myself the reasonableness of a costly purchase, speak louder, O Lord, than the voice of my self-serving thoughts. If there is no real need for or true wisdom in the purchase of a new technology, service, or application, then let me be content with fewer options. Slower speeds, smaller memory, less diversion, less gadgetry. Let me be content, O Lord, with what I truly need to accomplish the necessary tasks before me." And I know not everyone who watches these videos shares the same faith as me, but I think that we can all take principles of that, of not always needing to strive to be faster, be better, on to the next thing, buy the new technology. And it's easy to fall into that temptation, and I do too. I'm not perfect. This video is not to say that I'm perfect, but these are habits that have truly changed my life in trying to pursue a more simple and minimal lifestyle. Number one is building routines that I love. If you guys have been around here, if you listen to my podcast, I just shared about this. There are people who love routines, there are people who hate routines, but when you actually love the mundane, everyday moments of your life, and maybe love is not the right word. I don't love when I have to make the bed in the morning. I don't love cleaning my home. I don't love those things. Actually, I do kind of like those things. You don't always have to strive to escape those things and avoid those things when you actually enjoy the routine that you're living in. And so for me, when I wake up in the morning, I love my morning routine. And the reason why I love it is because I haven't thrown a bunch of things in it that aren't necessary. So things like reading a book every single week, like I would love to do that, but that's just not feasible for me. And I find when I truly enjoy the routine that I'm doing every single morning, I have a few of those routine videos up if you want to see more about my routine, but I think it's important for you to decide, not by watching a video, not by looking at me making this video right now, but to decide what you enjoy doing in your day-to-day routine personally. Number two is just redefining what abundance means to me. Growing up, especially in college, there's so much pressure to be successful, find the perfect job. I don't think that those things are bad, but for me, the older I get, the more I realize that I feel the most abundant when I'm surrounded by good people, when I'm making good memories, when I'm having good experiences. And when I think of abundance, I think of the fruits of the spirit of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. Those are all beautiful things. And when I have a good amount of those things in my life, I feel truly abundant. And so I'm going to fill my life with things that are going to help lead to that along the way. Number three is focusing on one task at a time. For some reason lately, this has been so hard for me. I always start something and then I think that I need to go to the next thing. And there always seems to be this urgency in life. And yeah, there are moments where there is urgency, especially if it's in your job, your boss, I need to turn in a video. These things are important, but for the most part, we do have the time to slow down and enjoy moments. And I've been trying to practice, especially over the past month, because I've not been really great at this, at just slowing down and not putting this unnecessary urgency in my life, because the world around me is moving so quickly. It doesn't mean that I necessarily have to move that quickly too. Number four is just caring for others. I've talked about this quite a bit on my channel, but I feel the most fulfilled when my interest isn't only on myself. Especially when I'm doing a job like this, it is really easy to get caught up in how many likes you're getting, how many views you're getting, how many people approve of you. And I've just learned that I'm a much more content person when I'm spending my energy on other people. And even if that's just people in your day-to-day life, being faithful in the relationship with my friends and my spouse. I love cooking dinner at night, and I find it to be a way that I can use my hands to make something that's delicious delicious and great, and getting to feed other people. Like, that's something that brings me a lot of joy. And it can be something as simple as with our plants in our home, taking the time to slow down and have to figure out how often to water a plant, how much to dust it, how much soil it needs, having to repot it. Simple things like that really do take your mind off of everyday life that can be really draining, and it helps you just find beauty and fulfillment in taking care of other things. And again, this one might not be one that everyone can relate to, but number 5 is just attending church regularly. I grew up going to church pretty regularly, but in college, I started going to a church that was a Presbyterian church. And for me, it was really eye-opening to see how much they appreciated just traditional hymns and reading liturgies and having very simple services to honor God and praise God. And I think that everyone's different. Everyone enjoys different styles of worship, but going to a church like this really made me realize the beauty of simplicity and how much I enjoy that. It just really centers me each week, being there every Sunday and not thinking about how I can serve myself another day, what can I get done this day, but just having a day to pause and reflect and hear a sermon and have my mind focus on certain principles throughout the week is something that's always been important. Number 6 is just to be aware of how other technology is affecting you. So I think technology is really great. I mean, it has afforded me the life that I have right now, and I'm so thankful to get to do this as a job. It brings me so much creative fulfillment. I love it so much. But with that being said, I know that not all apps, not all websites serve me well, and I think you have to figure that out for yourself, because for some people, maybe they don't like YouTube, maybe they don't like Instagram, maybe those platforms make them feel bad. But for me, I noticed that I had a brief time of making TikToks, which was really fun, but the longer that I went on that app, the more I realized that I like to have control over what is being fed to me, and something about the algorithm on TikTok of it kind of choosing what it shows you. And for the most part, I think it does a great job, but I just know for my personal mental health, it's better to get to choose what I'm looking at. And I mean, YouTube does this too, so I don't know what it is exactly about TikTok, but I just never felt good when I went on there. Initially I did, but the more I was on it, the more it kind of felt not good or bad. It just wasn't something that I felt was benefiting me, maybe in terms of my job, but in terms of my own mental health, it wasn't. So I just don't really go on there. And that might change over time too. I think that it's okay to evolve and change. And just because I'm saying that now doesn't mean I'm never going to go on there. But I think you have to know how your technology is affecting you, because increasingly in our world, it's such a big part of our life, and you want to make sure that it's not controlling you too much, but that you still have the power over it. Seeing familiar faces, I love the aspect of living in a city that feels like a neighborhood. And even though Dallas is huge, we go to the same workout place and we see the same trainers, we see the same people at our front desk, we see the same people in our apartment building, and it really does make you appreciate simple moments in your day when you're seeing those people routinely. Even if you're going to the same coffee shop, there's just something about having that aspect of community and regularly seeing them, making that a habit, really does make me a more content person. Romanticize the mundane. This is no secret. You guys know I'm a big fan of this, of just making those small everyday moments something that you treasure and hold closely. And for me, I think the easiest thing to point out is how much I love my morning coffee. And you don't need any fancy glasses or anything. I mean, you could even go to a thrift store and find some, but I have these highball glasses that I love right now. And there's just something about pouring that coffee in the morning, sitting down at my desk that I love. And so make those simple moments that you enjoy every day just more special by kind of elevating them. I think that that helps a lot. But don't romanticize options. So this is an area that I think options in life can be really good. I love now at the grocery store, you can pick if you want organic, you can pick if you want something that's grain-free, and we can really accommodate so many different lifestyles. But when it comes to your everyday life, it's really helped me having less options in terms of these are the makeup products I use every day. These are for the most part the staple wardrobe items that I have. And I mean, I like to rent clothes and I like to switch things up. For me, I would say the makeup area is the area that this has helped me the most, because I'm not spending all this time rummaging through my makeup every morning, but I can actually just pick out exactly what I want to use and it's laid out there in front of me. And so don't put an unnecessary amount of options in your life, because sometimes I think that that can just stress us out beyond just having what you actually need. Embrace inconvenience. So I think in this area, I used to be someone who didn't really love taking care of plants. I found it to be really finicky. And honestly, my fiddle leaf is definitely dying right now, so I am not perfect at this, but it has taught me a lot by letting things kind of slow me down. And I talk about it in a recent vlog, but I share a car with my husband, and sometimes I will feel like, man, I wish I'd have more time to get things done if I didn't have to drop him off at work or something. And I just found myself having this feeling of, oh, I wish things were always more convenient. But I've learned that it's good to be inconvenienced, and sometimes when you embrace those moments, it actually teaches you to be content with things slowing you down. And I find that the more I embrace those moments, the less I get really thrown off when someone's driving really slow and I'm stuck behind them, or I'm walking down the street and someone's walking really slow. It's good to kind of learn how to not be so annoyed by small things, and it's taught me a lot about just embracing every moment as it comes and not being so caught up with having to rush to the next thing. Resisting the urge to respond quickly. I think we live in a world now where you're kind of expected to respond right away. When you get a DM, it's going to tell them when you've read it and you want to respond right away. And I think there's always this pressure to just always be available versus, you know, back in the day, that just wasn't really a big aspect of life. And so something I've been trying to practice lately is turning my phone on airplane mode while I'm working and just not constantly having to respond to a text right away when I get it. And obviously emergencies happen, but I think we can all agree for the most part, the texts aren't that urgent, at least for me personally. I don't get that many urgent things. And again, this kind of goes back to just focusing on one thing at a time and slowing down a little bit more. Don't overcomplicate simple tasks. So for me, I've been trying in the past little bit of our life, especially in this apartment, to keep things very simple. And I think a good example is in our bedroom, something that we've started to do. And I believe this is what they do in a lot of European countries. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't sleep with a top sheet. We just have our duvet and our duvet covers, so we wash that weekly. I don't know if this is gross for some people. I don't find it to be that gross because I always hated getting tangled in a top sheet. It would take so long to make our bed in the morning, and so we just took it off. And obviously we live in Texas, so it's not very cold here, so there's not really a need for a top sheet. Obviously you might live where it's really cold and you need that, but I find just making that daily task that we do every day just a little bit more simple. It helps free up my mind and my space to kind of let in other moments. Stop comparing yourself to your old self. And this is one that I have dealt with a lot for some reason in the past year, romanticizing kind of how I used to be, romanticizing the way that I used to look. I think especially when you're on YouTube, you can see all your different phases of life. I mean, I've been doing this since I was 14 years old, and so you can see yourself change over the years, and it's not doing you any favors to constantly compare yourself to your old self. And in a lot of ways, that might be a healthy thing if you feel like you're only competing with your past self, but things change and we change, and that is such a good thing. And I've just found that having this habit of always comparing myself to how I used to be is only holding me back. It made my life so complicated because I was always trying to compare myself to how I used to be when I never really embraced the change that would happen in my life. And this is something that I've been trying to work on a lot lately. Number 14 is just to have a mindset shift. Once we got our apartment that we have now, I really felt a shift of, instead of looking at my apartment as something that I had to take care of, you know, these are chores that I have to do. It was, no, I get to take care of this. I get to keep my home clean and a place where I can welcome people in and enjoy the moments that happen here. And it's really made me less bitter when it comes to taking care of it, when it comes to, you know, always wanting a bigger house or a house if you're me, and always like looking for that next thing, but appreciating what I have right now has really done a lot. And this is something I daily work on. I have not mastered this. Obviously, I want things that I don't have. For the most part, I'm really thankful and grateful to have this space, and I want to honor it. And number 15 is just to rent instead of buy. So when it comes to clothes, something that I started doing was renting through Nuuly, which I love. It's a service you can get. This isn't sponsored or anything, by the way. I pay for this, but you get 6 pieces a month. And I found when I was trying to live more of a minimalist life, I got rid of a lot of my clothes, but there were still times when I wanted to have fun with fashion and try new outfits and share things as a YouTuber. And so I started renting through Nuuly, and I love it. It's kind of curbed that appetite of always always wanting to purchase and consume more, but also allowed me to still have fun with my outfits and try new things. And I think that that habit has really enriched me in terms of wanting to have fun with fashion, which I think is a great thing. I mean, clothes are so much fun to have fun with, but not always having to store new things in my closet. Those are some habits that have changed my life. Let me know if you have any in particular, if you're trying to adopt a more just simple living, content, minimalist lifestyle. I'd love to hear from you. Again, I don't think that any of these things are necessarily things to find your identity in, but I know that they've really enriched my life and they're habits that have helped a lot. So I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for being here from the bottom of my heart. I never take it for granted. I'm so grateful for the community that we have on here and just the people who leave comments and the DMs that I get. You guys mean so much to me. Thank you for being here. I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.